the over extraction there. Okay, brew a cup of coffee, TDS between 2.4 and 2.8. Extraction yield between 21 to 25%. It has to still be drinkable. It has to be balanced. No bitter or hollowness. It's gonna be pretty tough. I think we can do it, and I hope that we learn something from it. I think we can. Hire V60 or V60 Switch. Light roast only, very fine grind, like espresso grind, 1 to 10 ratio, 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 8 to 10 minutes. I believe I can do it probably in about 4 minutes. You can use a switch, hybrid, percolate first, finish with immersion. Ooh, maybe I can try that way. We may use a switch, now that I'm thinking about it, because it's a little bit more controlled. No stirring, no agitation, which I don't do that anyway. No bypass water, no, to dilute it to make it balanced. No preheating. I pass if I could get between 2.4 and 2.8, 21 to 25 degrees percent extraction. Taste drinkable. Bitterness may be present, but cup must be finishable with at least some positive flavor characteristics. Okay, I'll be honest with you if I get there. Complete within 10 minutes. No excess fine sludge in cup. Clarity. Okay, so we're gonna be using a filter. I don't think what matters which filter we use. I may just do it a fast filter just anyway, just to see if we can get some type of sweetness and balance. That's what people say that you usually get with a faster filter. Okay, if I fail, if it's below 2.4 and 2.8, extraction yield 21 to 25, cup is overwhelmingly bitter, sour, and undrinkable. This is an extremely light roast. This is between 80 on the whole beans readings and about 83 on the ground coffee. So it's pretty light. This is a Guatemalan, and these are the tasting notes that they said that they taste. Cheese, which was interesting. Berry, jasmine, vanilla, chocolate, caramel, hazelnut, and almond. Again, I learned more from my failures, and we're gonna see what we learn in this whole experiment. I think we can do it. The hard part really is to get it in between the 2.4 and the 2.8 TDS reading. I think it may be a good idea to not do 9 to 10 pulses, because I think that's gonna extract it even more so. We only get one shot at this. Got some ideas in my head to kind of complete this challenge. We're gonna see what we learn, see what we don't learn, see some things that we can do differently, and we'll go from there. So this is the second failure challenge. We're gonna go back to my studio now because I don't have any water. I don't have a kettle. I didn't bring the grinder, and this is more so a prop outside, but whatever. You get what I'm talking about. So, see you soon. I usually do this at the end, but I don't know if people actually make it to the end, so I'm doing it now for you, halfway through the video. Hey, so we're back in the lab. We're about to get started. The water in the kettle is at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We need to go ahead and grind up this coffee. This is a King grinder. We're gonna use the espresso grind. Normally don't change out the grinds. Shit. This is the drawback when you do very light roasts. It's very hard to actually grind the coffee. But I did want to show you exactly what I'm doing. This is 30 grams. We're gonna do 30 grams of coffee and then 300 grams of water. Shit. It's fine as hell. There you go. Work out for a reason, right? I'm gonna take a break. Let's talk about more of the game plan. I think I'm gonna switch it up. I was just gonna do the regular Hario V60, but we're gonna use the switch, and I think it may help us get into that range that we need to be in, the 2.4 to 2.8. The reason why this is kind of tough is because I've never really done something like this to get that high of an extraction and for it to be tasty. You'll get the acidity, complexity, and all that stuff, but sweetness is the thing that I don't get. There we go, almost done. That was tough. 30 grams. There we go, espresso-fine grind, okay? So that's part one. See, this is empty, no cheating. This has already been rinsed. This is the coffee. And you can't see me because everything's in the way, but here's the game plan. Is we're gonna be putting 100 grams of water inside the vessel. And then the other thing that we're gonna be doing is waiting about 2 minutes to just get as much extraction as we can. And then we're gonna let it draw down. And then I'm gonna do a pulse of 100 another 100 of, I may not do that. I just want the thing to get agitated. 30 grams, let's do 60. Let's not make this hard. We're gonna do 2 main pulses. We're gonna do 100 grams of water first, initially. Wait about 2 minutes for the bloom. And then once that is done, we're going to do 100 grams for the first pulse, real pulse. And then once it draws all the way down, we'll do the 100 and then we'll be done. I think we'll probably be done in about 4-5 minutes. This is the way that I'm thinking I'm able to get sweetness out of the cup. I'm gonna be using third wave water, but I'm gonna be using the dark roast profile. And the reason why I'm doing that is because what I've noticed is that any profile that you use for whatever actual degree of the coffee, it kind of like amplifies it. And I don't think the medium roast profile brings down the acidity enough. I think the dark roast is where I need to be. If I have the low acid, then I think the coffee would totally change too much. I won't get the acidity. I'll probably get sweetness, but I'm looking for a balance here. So that's why I'm using the dark roast profile. It says 32, we're gonna do 320 grams of water. 2 minutes, we're gonna start it now. Damn, it's gonna be tough. We'll see. I mean, it should be a little bit lively. It was roasted last week. So again, we're at 100 right now. It's doing this thing. How long do we have? We got about 1 minute and 20 seconds. As soon as this goes off, we're gonna do 100 more grams of water. Thank you, Ken Grinder, for giving me a workout today. Again, that's one of the drawbacks of using a hand grinder. You're gonna be cranking the crap out of it. But again, this is for science, this is for fun. So we're gonna let it draw down, and then we're gonna put 100 grams of water in there. No agitation. I think actually if I had like 15 or 10 or whatever pulses, I think that would increase the extraction quite a bit. We're gonna let this go all the way down, and then we're gonna do our last pour. As you can see, it's less than 10 minutes. So we know we at least did that part of the challenge. We're just gonna pour straight in the middle, get this to 310. There we go, 2. A trusty TDS meter, which we'll do last. The most important thing, critical here, is to taste it. So there it is. Looks pretty sludgy. It looks pretty potent. So we got 257 grams of brew weight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a TDS reading. Let's just see how it tastes, and we'll see how well we did with this whole challenge so far. Cheers. Strong. It has some interesting notes. I do taste some more floral notes into it. Duh, but it is severely over extracted. I am tasting a little bit of bitterness, but it not too bad actually for a light roast for me. Don't do this. If you like strong coffee, do an espresso probably, but this is really strong. This is on the level of cold brew strong, but let me clean my palate a little bit. It is a little muddy to kind of decipher a little bit what you're tasting. It's more, I'm used to it. It's not too crazy, if that makes sense. I think as you keep putting more things in your mouth and your palate, especially if it's the same thing, you get used to the taste, the flavor, and all that. It still has that bitter as a aftertaste. But that could be also the fruit characteristics of it being severely over extracted. So, is it balanced? I will say yes and no. Kind of is. Is it something I would want to finish? Of course not. No, I wouldn't want to finish it just because it is literally too damn strong. It's kind of hard to really taste what you're really trying to taste. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's why a lot of times when we make coffee, we hover around between the 1.2 if you're kind of crazy. And all the way to the 1.5, 1.6, sometimes 1.8 to an extent of a filter pour over type of coffee. I think that's really where you want to be, because you want to be able to actually taste the coffee. A lot of times when we I guess in this case, over extract things, we don't realize that the things that's going to get in the way of more than anything is just like the bitterness part of it. Bitterness is okay to an extent, but if it gets in the way of actually understanding and you interpreting what you're actually tasting, then I think those are going to be the biggest drawbacks when you make a really strong cup of coffee. I mean, if you're going to use creamer, that's a different story, you know? I don't think this tastes really good with creamer because it's extremely light, and that, you know, the acidic nature will like kind of come through a little bit more than what you would probably be used to, those chocolatey type of notes with a medium and a dark crust. Just saying. So let's taste it one more time. Yeah, let me see. It is smooth. It does have that chocolatey type of taste to it. We did 30 grams, 300. So it's a little bit more. We got a brew weight of 257. Okay, which is interesting. Whatever. Okay, so let's now do the TDS. Let's see what we got there. Ah, barely missed it. Fuck. Okay, TDS 2.88. I think I'm gonna get my iPads just to be a little bit more accurate. I think the goal that I set for myself was 2.8. All right, let me get my iPad real quick to do this correctly. It's the same app that I use for my phone, but it's more accurate. Extraction yield, 21 to 25. So extraction, I got it, 23.59. And I took, of course, in consideration the actual beverage weight. TDS, 2.88. I failed there. So I failed the challenge anyway. But for extraction, 23.59. So I'm right in there. Let's taste it again and let's make our conclusions. Okay, all right, so here's my conclusions. I failed, surprise, surprise, but not by that much. Probably to get the TDS a little bit lower is not do a 2-minute bloom. Probably do like a 30-second bloom. That probably drastically decrease the amount of TDS, and then do those 2 pulses. So I think that would have helped out a little bit in the extraction of getting it closer to that 21%. And I think that would probably have made the coffee a little bit more palatable. You can probably understand the coffee a little bit more. Probably the bitterness will actually come down so you can actually taste what you're kind of tasting in the cup, right? You'll just get more acidity. Do I taste sweetness on the coffee? A little bit, but not much. It's kind of there. I do think the dark roast profile did help out quite a bit. I think if I were to use the low acidic one, this coffee will be extremely dull. I think so. But again, this is just me just trying this out. One shot at it, and then we didn't make it. But again, the biggest thing is that, what did we learn about this? We learned that we can play around with different extractions, different methods. We can play around with timing and all that stuff in order to get the desired extraction that we want out of coffee. And then again, that translates into actual taste. So this was a good one. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Did I complete the challenge? Yeah, I completed it, but oh shit. Okay, wait, I probably, okay, because this thing works better once it cools. So it actually came out supposedly to 2.92. So let's just update this real quick. Okay, so I'm still within the range. 23.94, so close to 24% extraction. But again, I think that's where we can play around with this. We can geek out a little bit about it, but we can play around with the extraction, because if we taste it right now that it seems like it's probably over extracted, we could bring the extraction back down to see if it's actually drinkable. We'll get probably some of that bitter notes out of it, and then what we're tasting is what the coffee is. So it's interesting. Let me know what you think. And we're gonna keep doing this. These are challenges that I like, things that push me in and kind of understand coffee even more so. And there's little different techniques that I'm gonna be trying to see if I can build up my toolbox to hopefully help you, especially when it comes down to you drinking your coffee and enjoying it and trying to figure out what's the best way to bring out the best in the coffee. If you have any ideas for this, let me know. I'm gonna stop rambling, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.